Welcome to filmmaking.com's series of video tutorials. Today we're going to be looking at Photoshop. And yeah, it is filmmaking.com, but a lot of times in product design or using After Effects or compositing, you do a lot of stuff right here in Photoshop. And just having some good Photoshop skills is going to help you a lot when it comes to your next design project or, just integrating that into video. So today we're going to take a couple seconds and do that classic reflection that you see in a lot of ads, where you take something like an MP3 player and you have the reflection underneath. So we're just going to go ahead and walk through this. As you can see, I have my MP3 player set up right here. If you're taking your own picture, take a picture of your product and then just make sure that you cut around the product. You can do that a couple of different ways. Best way is to shoot your product on a white background or a neutral background or a green screen or a blue screen. If you're taking a picture of this on your table, you can come up here to where your lasso tool is and get your polygonal lasso tool. Or you can use magnetic. Polygonal allows you to click and make your paths. Every time you click, it creates a path, which is helpful, but if you can do it, your magnet will just kind of stick to the lines. But see how sometimes it doesn't go exactly where you want. So it just depends on what you have there and what'll work easiest for you. Today, what we're going to do is we want to get rid of, as you can see down here in our layers, we have this layer which is white over the top of just a plain white background. Well, what we want to do first is get all this white away from here. So I'm going to go ahead and take my magic wand tool, and your tolerance up here is saying how much it'll take away. Notice if I go all the way up to 100, it's pretty much selecting everything that's even somewhat white. Well, I only want it to be probably, for this, about 3%. You can see how it's going to cut everything out all around in here, and it's going to leave my MP3 player. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit the delete key, and you can't really see it. Here, I'll show you let's go ahead and turn my background a different color. We'll turn my background black, and now I'm going to take my lasso tool, or excuse me, my magic wand tool. Now I hit delete. Let's see here. Delete. Okay, now you can see how the background came through there. Okay, that's what you want it to do. So we can work with this black background. We'll just do this kind of reflection. So I'm going to click on here, take that off. Now, as you can see, I can kind of move that wherever I don't have that white getting in our way. So first thing I can see is I'm going to need to resize this. So you're going to want to go ahead and hit Control T or Shift T on I believe it's Windows, or Apple T on a Mac, which is what I'm using. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and you'll want to hold down Shift to keep it in proportion. If not, it'll do that. Control or Apple Z will always backspace, get you back where you need to be. So go to the corner, hold down Shift, resize, and we'll put this guy about right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the layers. I'm going to hold down or right click, and hold down Control and click on a Mac, or right click on a PC, and you're going to want to duplicate the layer. And just go ahead and you can name it duplicate, whatever. And now you have two right over the top of each other, right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this top layer, hit Control T or Apple T. I'm going to grab this top and just pull it right underneath there. And before you double click on this, go ahead and hit Control and click, or right click on a PC, and it'll bring up this little menu here. And go to Perspective. And I always like to just grab on the corners and just drag to the right. And that'll make it so it puts it a little bit more in perspective there. You see how that? There you go. Oops. Makes it look a little more flat. Just work with it until you get it where you want it. Double click. Alright, now it kind of looks like a reflection. So come back up here to your upside down layer. And we're going to want to put a mask, which is this white circle inside the gray square. So go ahead and click on that. And that put a mask, so now we can affect the gradient layer that we're going to put on here. So come over here to your left, and where your paint bucket is, if you hold down on that, you're going to get a gradient tool. So go ahead and get that gradient tool out. It'll look like the black to white gradient. And make sure that's selected. Now go down to the bottom here of your reflection on the floor and click, hold, and pull up to about the bottom of the other one. Oops, we got it going the wrong way, so I want to reverse that. So I'm going to click at the top and then drag to the bottom. There we go. You see how that makes that nice gradient? You want to mess with this. So I'm going to top and come out to the middle here. A little bit more. There you go. So that's a pretty nice gradient. Looks like it's kind of falling off with the light. But that doesn't really complete it. Let's go ahead and just do one more thing. Come over here to your layer, copy with the mask. Make sure it's highlighted. And come up to your opacity right here and take this little slider. Slide it down to about, I don't know, probably about 30%. There you go. Okay, and you can mess with this. You can click it on there, say if it needs to be just shuffled forward, back, wherever. But there basically now you have any product you want. You can put a little reflection on it on a plane. If you want to give a little more dynamic impact, you can come to your background. And let's go ahead and just do one more thing before we close here. Let's go ahead and give it some kind of depth. So we have black, so we want to come over here and get something a little lighter, maybe just kind of a charcoal gray like that. And now we're going to create a new layer, button right to the left of the trash can down here. Click it and come over to your square. And then just take the square kind of where you know, a perspective plane, horizon line would be about right here. And then let's click on the background. And let's bring that down a little bit. So there, if you want to, now, you know, probably the best thing to do would be give this a reverse gradient. Oops. So come up here, give it a mask, grab your gradient tool, and once again, wrong way, and I'm dragging it up. There we go. Click on the background. Now you see how it kind of gives it a nice horizon line, like maybe it's sitting on a table and it's going off into the distance where the dark is just kind of enveloping the scene. It gives it kind of a nice, it gives this somewhere to sit and somewhere to reflect onto. And if you need it to be a little more perspective based, click on your layer here again, click on your first picture, hit Control or Apple T, Control or right click, and go back into your perspective menu. Stretch that out, make it look a little flatter or a little skinnier, whatever you need. It looks about right there. That's a pretty big reflection, so you just kind of imagine where the light is, what kind of surface it is, if it's metal, if it's wood, what kind of reflection it would give off. And from there you can kind of see if you need to make it, you know, darker, brighter, whatever kind of reflection. And you can also play with your transfer modes here, your multiply, your screen, your lighten, give it a little different look. Well, this is James Colley with Filmmaking.com, trying to catch you up on some Photoshop things. What we will do next time is we'll take our composition we made here, and I'll show you how you can do this in After Effects to give a good 3D presentation of whatever product you're trying to promote. So make sure you check out Filmmaking.com. It's just filmmaking without the G.com, where you can find some great filmmaking products, tutorials, and a lot of other stuff. So we hope we see you there.